Yeah, so this has been making some rounds around across the YouTube space, and my opinion on this is pretty much the same as everybody else's. I think they kind of missed the mark. I think Scott Galloway was on some bullshit. Personally, me, I think that he just missed the mark when it came to the truth, like always, because when it comes to telling the truth, we get real fidgety and scary and goofy when it comes to that part, right? And it's not for the sake that they want to be that way. They know if they do it the opposite way, which would be the right way, they'll lose shit. They'll lose subscribers. They'll lose followers, watchers, people, all kinds of things. I'm kind of tired of us being all fickly with the truth because we want to have some followers and shit like that. Oprah did a whole course correction as far as some things involving men, but specifically black men. I ain't never really seen Oprah be on the type of time that much. I know she had something about the fathers being involved and the absent black father thing being a lie. But where the fuck was this 30 years ago? In reality, we didn't have this access to information. So maybe she's just going with the times. I'll give Oprah some grace. Maybe she's just going with the times. But at the same time, you bring on Scott Galloway. He's a award-winning writer or whatever. And the first thing he's saying is wrong with men is they're not like doing the things that men used to do, and you got to be kind. You got to have that kindness receptor and all this other shit. And it's like, yeah, that sounds good on paper. And I understand women respond to men who lead. I do think that is the case, but all women don't do that. Some women dodge men like that because they don't want to be involved with it. The other thing is, and the other thing that I would love to point out is that the type of men that the women say they want and the men that they get with are two different things. You're going off of this blueprint of what women say that they want, but what women respond to are two different things. I direct you to a black community near you. Every time black women talk about the men they want and they already have kids, I say, what does your baby dad or dads do? And if they do none of the things that they say they want this man to do, I call bullshit. Straight up. So that's something that needs to be addressed. Now, let's be honest. Women are attracted to men who are taller. Women are just biologically wired that way, I guess. It just is what it is. You always hear women bitching. He's not tall enough. I'm like, bitch, you're 5'1". What else does he need to grow? You're 5'1", but whatever. I digress. Other issue is women complaining about money, this, that, and the third. Now, this is where Scott Galloway actually had me intrigued because he was honest and said his generation hoards all the access to wealth. The baby boomers and they hoard all the access to the wealth. So it's extremely hard for the younger generations to develop that process to get their money together. He said he got his first house at about 28. The average person who gets their house now is mid to late 30s. Mid to late 30s. As if you're not a streamer or a big YouTuber or you just hit the fucking jackpot early, congratulations. But for the most part, he even admitted it. And I said, okay, so you know this bet. And, that his generation knows how to vote to keep the money with them. I believe him. I believe him. Because they have been good for years. We have not. So we really got to be nuanced about this topic. And he just was saying the typical shrill shit of like, oh, women are exceeding men in college, which is true. There it is 60-40 women to men in college. Not understanding that every race of women outnumbers their men in college degrees, white, Asian, Hispanic, across the board. So black women aren't really special in this regard, but they will keep saying it as if they are. But every race of women outnumbers their man at college. The male loneliness epidemic. Yes, men are lonely. But that's because a lot of men really don't want to be out here dealing with this bullshit. He's basically telling men, go out, go interact, go approach, Get that rejection, this and that there. I agree. Rejection does build character, and rejection is protection to some degree. But the problem isn't the rejection. The problem is nuclear rejection. You go on these apps. The guy did a study. He found himself in a bad looking dude. He made a guy like one match after like a week of swiping. He created a profile with a girl, fake profile, whatever. He had hundreds of matches by the end of. He had hundreds of swipes by the end of the week. Women are just impossible to please when it comes to these things in 2025 because they want the full package and won't stop till they get it. And men are just like, well, what the hell? If I ain't the full package, what's the point of me doing it? Now, I do say men should get up and go, but it's hard to get up and go in this economy when economic access for men, especially black men, is not really there in bulk like it was 30, 40 years ago. So, unfortunately, yeah, it's just is the unfortunate reality of the situation. I think that the way the world is going, he's right. He's saying like men die earlier if they're alone, and women die later when they're alone. Actually, let me tell you something about this whole women being depressed and not being depressed when they're alone. Women literally have babies recklessly because they want somebody to love them. Okay, let's just be honest here. And if that's the case, that means they respond to being alone a hell of a lot worse than men do. Because men don't just go out and have babies and shit because they want somebody to love them. That's why single women get dogs, they get cats. Again, recklessly having babies because they want somebody to love them, which means they do not respond to loneliness better than men do. Some men just die, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, he was capping just a little too much. Women make more money than men. Not true. Men make more money than women on average. We're more reliable in the workforce because we're not going to leave from maternity leave for 6 months after having a baby. It just is what it is. It is a problem amongst the country to where the older communities need to get removed from where they are for the younger group of men to finally get that prosperity we get promised to us. Imagine being a white boy and being told the world is your oyster, and then you wake up at 24 and you ain't got shit but a cracker. And then one of the things that got me was they had like the little shorty on there, and she was like, I want to be married, but the men just don't have it together. I'm like, bitch, are you serious? Are you serious right now? You mean to tell me you got everything together? No, a lot of men don't really want to try and do stuff like that with you when we don't got our shit together. Because the women today really don't want to build with the man anymore. That's just on what it is. So we're stuck in this rock and a hard place. It's a hard ass rock in this hard ass place. He addressed so much more. I don't want to go too deep into it. But I'm looking at Oprah, and Oprah's like, well, young men should be out here just dating. And young men, I'm like, Oprah, what the fuck? You spent the first 40 years of your career giving men 30 years, just a bunch of bullshit on your show. And now you got a podcast. Now you want to be like, what do young men today need? And do I say that younger men need mentors? Yes, I do believe that. I think younger men need mentors. I think younger men need the men here with them, especially black boys, to just say, this is the direction you should go because there's prosperity at the end of this road. Well, I don't think the nuanced perspective of the loneliness of men is even addressed. Some men honestly just say, I'd rather be in my room playing video games till I die than try to interact with women because I'm not going to get anywhere anyway. Now, is that the mindset that I agree with? No. I say, get your ass up and move. Go to the gym, exercise, get that adrenaline pumping, get that blood moving around, get it circulating. Sitting around and dying of ingesting too many chips or something is not the way I want any man to go out. So that's pretty much it. It's just we got to start being more honest about this conversation, and we really need to start being honest about how the women just aren't being honest about what they actually want. It just needs to be dealt with in a way where it does get some kind of balance on the table, so where both sides are understood. But anyway, I'm going to check out because I'm exhausted. And I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more, and I'll see y'all on the next one.